Hi friends and welcome. Today we're stepping into the gentle world of Native American style flute. I recently came across this beginner VHS video by Odell Borg from High Spirits Flutes, and I thought it would be a benefit to the community to put it in digital format here on YouTube. This is a 33-minute instructional video teaching you how to begin using a Native American style flute, with a 10-minute bonus at the end where Odell introduces the viewer to new flute styles and sounds. Odell is widely known in the Native American flute world as both a flute maker and a gentle beginner-friendly teacher. His videos usually focus on breath control and tone, finger placement basics, scales and melodies, playing by feel rather than strict sheet music, and connecting your emotions to the instrument for the best experience. The vibe here is slow forest learning and is very welcoming to beginners. So, whether you're here for Odell or the training, I'm so glad you stopped by. So let's get on with the video. Oh, and please like and subscribe for more vintage VHS videos.
Hi, I'm Odell Borg. We're here today to familiarize you with the Native American flute and teach you how to play. It's one of the easier instruments to learn how to play. Most flutes operate the same way, except for this instrument. It's very unique. As you blow into it, the air goes up underneath this thing called the fetish. Then it gets compressed and it comes out of this tiny little slot here at the bottom. The air comes out like a little mini hurricane, comes across a sharp edge and splits, and that's how it makes the sound. Now, normally when you're playing what they call a transverse flute, like this, you have to do all that with your mouth. Here, it's all done for you. They really knew what they were doing with this instrument. It was very simple. It's ingenious, but very simple. The Native Americans, like most tribal cultures, really never had a written music language. They basically wound up with instruments that they developed that were very simple: the drum, the rattle, and the flute. So what they developed are instruments that were very harmonic, meaning because they didn't find it necessary to have to deal with written music, the complexity of all that, they developed instruments that when one sound was played, it worked well with the other one. There was no complication. That's why this is so easy to play without having to learn how to read music and get into the Western concept of that. Now, the hardest thing to do with this instrument is to be able to close all the holes. If you can do that, you can play. It's as simple as that, because you're just blowing into the end at this point. So just close all of the holes, okay? Here's the sound that you get. Now, I know that sounds really easy to do. It says, okay, oh gosh, what's the big deal? For some reason, you're training your fingers to do something you haven't really done before. One, you're stretching them out a little bit. So you want to make sure that you place your fingers directly over the hole. The tendency is to play it like this, where you're kind of using your finger right on top like that. Avoid doing that. Play somewhat flat-fingered. It gives you better coverage on the holes themselves. So when you're placing your fingers on here, make them kind of flat. Not totally flat like this where you're overplaying the flute, but just right with the meaty part of your finger, okay? Now, what happens is these two fingers are real simple, okay? These two are real simple. It's this one. It's a little bit of a stretch. So the tendency is to have it be open. And here's the sound you're going to get if it is. You want to avoid that, obviously. Just trust, though, that when you're not getting a good, pure sound, that one of the holes is slightly open. That's the only mistake, okay? Now, the other important thing is, when you're playing a 5-hole flute, is what this is, use the third finger and keep it down here, right here, okay? It's important because when you have all the holes open like this is what supports the flute, okay? Now, if you do, the natural tendency is to go like this, okay? You'll find that out real quick because you won't be able to open up that top hole without having to kind of maneuver your hands down here. So make sure this finger is right on the flute. The next step in the process is to make sure you get a nice, even sound. Close all the holes and gently blow. Now, start lifting your fingers from the bottom up. Okay? As you open up every hole, increase your airflow a little bit. Blow a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. Now, if you don't do that, you're going to get a real lazy sound, a sad sound. Okay? Here's what it's going to sound like. Kind of a lazy sound. It's called, in musical terms, called going flat. If you want to get a little more energy into the note, raise it up, blow a little harder. What that does for you is gives you a different note, actually. So you can use the sad sound. If you're feeling like kind of sad and you want to create a sad song, use a little less breath. If you want to get something lively and kind of fun going, add more breath, more energy. Now, some of you, and I should say a lot of us, really learn visually. We need to see it. We need to see the holes. You're going to catch yourself looking down and you can't see a thing, so you get very frustrated because you can't see those holes. So what I suggest, if you have a tendency to do that, is to get in front of a mirror. Look in front of the mirror, close all the holes, because then you'll be able to see what holes are closed and which ones are not. Play the scale just a couple of times up and down in front of the mirror. Nice and slow. Now, sit down, close your eyes from here on in, and start to play with your eyes closed, the scale. Now go back down, doing the same thing. What happens is when you do that, is you tend to develop your tactile sense, okay? Plus, with your eyes closed, you're able to really concentrate on the notes that you're playing. You can hear it better. Later on, when your fingering gets to be a little bit more comfortable, which will probably take a couple of days, you will start to, when your eyes closed, be able to get some feeling into your breath, some feeling into your songs. Because the flute in the beginning, it feels is all about fingering, which makes sense, because that's the physical thing you're getting used to right away. But that comes very quickly. Really, in all reality, the flute is about singing with your breath. You're singing with your breath. So in other words, if I blow into the flute, sounds nice, but it's a little boring. So it's very similar to singing la, 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 instead of singing la, 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 la. You know, you're just kind of accentuating. Well, it's the same with the breath. Instead of just going, you're going, okay? Here's what it sounds like if you just blow. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. It's just you want to focus in at some point when you feel comfortable with your fingering to sort of use the feelings to bring it out and sing with your breath. And here's what it would sound like with using your breath as a voice, just like you're singing with it. Get a little crazy with it. This is about fun. This is not about the Western style of music. Really put that out of your mind. It's about expressing who you are, what you do, and how you do it. This is for your own, you're not performing. You're just enjoying it. That's the beauty of this instrument. It's just fun. So just in the privacy of your home, out in nature, whatever, just go crazy with it. Just make it happen. Just allow it to flow. One of the things that you're going to find with this instrument is that we are very technical. We come from a technical culture. We come from a technical society. So we want to do it just so, just so perfect and just right. We want songs we want to follow, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, you wouldn't have bought this instrument in the first place. It takes a little bit of time to get used to just relaxing with it, okay? Just enjoy the sound of it. And that's how you create your own music, your own songs. One of the most important things is to play very, very slow. The tendency is to go do this. Well, a couple of things happen. You develop some really bad habits. And you're not really learning to develop the breath, okay? The speed comes all on its own. You just play nice and slow, relax, enjoy yourself, the speed will come. Now, watch me play this. This is see how simple this is. You notice I hardly used those notes at all. I mean, just my fingers went very slow. They're very harmonic. I kept it real simple. That's how you develop your style, how you develop your breath, how you develop singing with your breath. That's what it's really all about. When you start to play the songs, when it starts to click, doing the scale, for instance, okay? When you get bored to death with it, in other words, that's a good sign. Because from then on, you're going to start to want to do something else, okay? Now, watch me play the scale. What I did was I played the scale up and down, okay? But some of the notes I played more than once. Some I held a little longer. Some I held a little shorter. Some sequence I repeated a couple of times. And that's how you start to develop a sense of melody. You go, oh, wow, I like that. That's cool. I'm going to do that again. I like that. So what can I do next? Do you see how simple that was? Keep it that way. That's how you're going to develop a real sense of melody, of breath, and most of you purchased this flute. You got interested in it because it has such a harmonic, sweet, loving, meditative, quiet voice that's very soothing anyway. So play it that way. The speed comes all on its own. I keep saying that because most people want to really rush themselves. Don't do it. Just enjoy it. Just have fun with it. Now, there are some techniques that go beyond that, okay? One of the rules that, I hate rules, by the way. One of the, let's put it, suggestions, I like that better. One of the suggestions, okay, is that if you open up a hole, make sure that the holes below it are all open as well. In other words, if you want to open up this hole right here, okay, make sure these two holes down here are open as well. Don't do this. These notes are flats and sharps. And they're not necessarily notes that are harmonious. They don't necessarily work with other notes. You have to really learn how to use them. So in the beginning, for you to feel the most amount of success, just follow that. I think you'll be more successful. You'll feel better about it. After a while, you're going to go, hey, the heck what he's saying. I want to test this. That's good. That means you're ready to try it. And you're going to find, oh, this note works with this one, this flat. That works? Okay, cool. I'm going to put that in my repertoire. But in the beginning, just kind of follow that rule. In other words, if you open up a hole, make sure everything's open below it. All right? Now, the next technique is how to develop rhythm with the flute. Okay? If you were to just go ahead and develop kind of a rhythm, you'd go or your own rhythm, not necessarily mine. I'm just giving you an example. Ba 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 ba. Okay? Well, you do the same thing with the flute with your breath. You're going. Use your tongue like you're going to let a T, or you're spitting without actually letting out moisture. It's not done with your breath, not like this. It's more with your tongue. And here's what it sounds like. Okay, now I'll develop a rhythm. Now do it slow. That's easy to do, right? Just do it into the flute. Nice and easy. Now use a finger. Start. Just play with it little by little. Now, one of the things I forgot to tell you, which I'm going to mention right now, when you try new stuff out, anything new, whether it's fingering or whether it's using your breath, do it on the top 3 holes. Okay? Don't use it on the bottom 2 holes. In other words, if you're going to try something new, get up in here. Okay? Because if you do it down in here, that's the hardest note to play when all the holes are closed. You're going to find the least amount of success, especially when you're trying new stuff. Now, after you've got it down up in here, then subtly do it at the bottom note. It's got to be very subtle, because if you do it too hard, here's what happens. If you blow too hard, it'll get too much pressure, it'll break, and actually what they call breaking to the next octave. You'll use that note. It sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Well, you'll use it. Matter of fact, that's how they used to call it the eagle cry. So if you're going to try something new, just do it on the top notes. It's just easier. You'll have more success with it, and you'll really learn to develop it before you get down in the lower notes. Okay? It's including the rhythm. And it's fun. Using rhythm will give you just another way to express yourself musically. Now, the other way to do it is like you were doing before. Just blow into it and vary your breath and your fingering. See how I just move the breath back and forth? It's a real nice, simple way of just getting a change of motion and emotion and emotion. And a combination of the rhythm and the other of change of emotion and flow, would sound like this. That brings me to another point. Breathe when you have to breathe, okay? It's important. Don't wait until the breath is completely gone and you have to go, you know, because it disrupts the song, it disrupts your pattern and also your calm. So breathe, learn to just breathe. When you need to take a breath, take one. Just stop. Just okay? Just breathe normally whenever you need to. Now, any way that you can change the airflow from your mouth, your tongue, any way that you can move it is going to change the sound that you're making with the flute, okay? Now, if you went like this, okay, this is what it would sound like.